Hey everyone, welcome to the Touch My Health podcast with Matt and Katie, where we dig into mental health, physical health, and holistic wellness. We share personal stories and struggles that we have overcome. These are our own opinions and experiences. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Touch My Health podcast. My name's Matt.
I'm Katie. So this week we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do this episode on, and I came across this video on Facebook that it was on the No Fugazee podcast, this guy named Cooley, and someone was reacting to it. And listening to the video, it was infuriating. I was like, this guy is just not a lot of nice words, you know? And so I showed the video to Matt and I said, hey, I think this would be a good topic to talk about. But we also wanted to listen to the full, sometimes things can be taken out of context. And so we wanted to listen to the full, episode or whatever it was on. So we found the podcast episode, and this segment of it is about 15 minutes. So we watched the whole thing just to make sure nothing was being taken out of context, because it came across very misogynistic. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
And just this mentality that like, I'm the man, I can do whatever I want. The woman has to submit to me and do whatever I say. Basically that do as I say, not as I do type mentality. And it was infuriating. And so we are going to play the clip for you guys to watch. It's about 3 minutes and it's not super long, but watch the whole thing. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what the topic that it brought up for us. And it's really about privacy versus secrecy. So people get those two things confused, I think. When people say, oh, I like my privacy, it's like, do you like your privacy or do you like to be secretive? Because privacy and secrecy are two totally different things. And I think sometimes people construe privacy and try to use that as this front for just being secretive. And that's kind of the path that it led us down, but we'll get more into that. So,
yeah, it was definitely a rage baiting type of clip.
That's what the person who reacted to it, he's on TikTok, Facebook. He's the sensational guy. I can't remember what his handle or his name is, but he even said too, when he was reacting to it, that he was like, is this like, are y'all doing this on purpose? This seems kind of rage baity, which I had never heard that term.
Was.
That was the first time I'd heard the term rage bait.
It's just an affirmation or almost like a clickbait, but it's to engage audiences. Whether it's good or bad, it's to engage an audience. And even if you get 700 hateful comments, you're still getting comments and you're still getting engagement. And it's that type of negative press is good press. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that I could never.
With that, we're gonna show you guys the clip and watch that, and then we'll come back and do a react.
Yeah.
If I'm out, don't ask me where I'm at. Don't ask me who I'm with. Don't ask me what I'm doing. Are you the leader in this relationship? No, I'm the leader in this relationship. Wherever I'm at, who I'm with, or what I'm doing is for me to
Even
know.
if you're in a relationship?
Yes.
Why?
Don't be asking a man who you with, where you at, what you doing.
What if they do it to you?
I am your leader. I need to know. I am here to protect and provide for you.
It's not like where you at, what you doing. It's just like what we should know. Like we should. Okay, cool. I know what you doing. It's not like we want to be in your business.
Nah, here's what I'm saying. You know? Here's what I'm saying, right? You want a leader. Hypothetically, me and you in a relationship. I'm leading a relationship. You are following my lead, right? When I'm out, I'm out. Side the house.
I hate
where I'm at.
It just sounds so sneaky.
Who I'm with. Listen. What? It sounds so sneaky because you got past traumas and you trying to put that on me.
And you're right.
Don't put your past traumas and your past problems or situations and your insecurities on me. So when I'm out, where I'm at, who I'm with, and what I'm doing is my business. When you out, before you go out, who you with, where you at, and what you doing. These are things that you should already tell the man. I shouldn't
and vice versa.
No,
right?
listen.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Listen.
Yes.
No, listen.
Okay.
Yes.
I shouldn't
It is
have
vice
to
versa.
ask
It
you.
is.
The reason being, it isn't no vice versa.
Yes,
Men
it
and
is.
women aren't equal. Let me tell you and explain why it's not vice versa. If that man is your protector and your provider, guess what? He is your law. That man is your law. There's no other law but him. So if you're going to be leaving outside of his presence, he needs to know where you at, who you with, what you doing. You want him to be your protector and your provider. So how can he protect you if you don't tell him where you're at, who you with, and what you doing? Are you my protector? You're not my protector. I'm your protector. So for me to get out of the norm and tell you where I'm at, who I'm with, and what I'm doing makes no sense. It's nonsensical.
Okay, so watch this. This is where it really kind of threw me off because he starts talking about his significant other as or in relation to a parent-child relationship. So he's basically comparing his and his significant other's relationship to a parent-child relationship. Watch this.
A parent goes outside the house, right? Is the parent telling the kids, the
Yes.
teenagers,
Yes.
where
Yes.
They might not say
Yes.
exactly where they're going, but they'll say, "Oh, I'll be right."
Maybe not your parent, but mine. Though.
Yes. And I just want to say something before I
No,
forget
stop
it.
it there.
And that's
Stop
a
it there.
fact.
Stop it there.
No,
let's
that's a
just
fact.
let's just speak honestly here,
I am.
right? When the parent is going outside the house, does the parent have to tell the child where he's going, where he's at, and who he's with?
No, but they
Time out,
do.
time out.
No, it's not an
time out.
obligation.
Listen,
It's not an
listen. Time out,
obligation.
time out.
Well, no, I thought you said.
But
You
does
asked.
the
Parent does not.
child have to tell the parent
Yes.
where he's at,
Yeah.
what he's doing, and who he's
Yes.
with? The reason being is because the parent is the protector. You get it?
And then-
like the same dynamic in a relationship that parents have with children, I have with my woman.
But
Let us know what you think about that in the comments, and here's our reaction to it.
So when I first saw the video, I like the first thing that comes out of his mouth. Don't ask me where I'm at. Don't ask me who I'm with. Don't ask me what I'm doing. That's my business. Like, I'm sorry, what?
And the women on that panel were like, no, absolutely not.
And if you do watch the entire, it's, I think that segment's about 15, 16 minutes. So he's implying basically that, when he leaves his house, mind you, this man is also married. He has children.
Well, he says significant other, or he doesn't say wife. He's not wearing a wedding ring.
I think I think when I looked it up, he is, maybe he's not married. Okay, I take that back. I don't know.
So
He is in
that-
a relationship.
He is
in a committed relationship.
relationship.
But basically his thing is it's not expected of the man to let the woman know where he's going, who he's with,
God,
any
I
of
think
that
he
information.
Yeah, I think he repeated that like 4 times.
And to me, that is absolutely asinine. It's just crazy. Like the way he said it too it was very off-putting because he says it in such a like misogynistic way and then tries to justify it by saying, that he is the man, he's the protector. It's his job to protect you. So he when he's out of the home, like you're not his protector, he's your protector. So he needs to know where you are, what you're doing at all times, because he needs to protect you, even though he's not there. So he really can't protect you because he's not in the location that you're at. But he can go out, and when he's out in the wild doing whatever, that's his business because you're not his protector. So why do you need to know? Like that train of thinking to me is just, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, so it can be looked at as 2 ways. From a man's perspective and woman's perspective, I think they're going to be a little bit different. I think what he was kind of alluding to was I protect you, so I need to know where you are because if something happens to you, then I need to know uh, who to go after, who to, where to start looking, stuff like that, which makes sense. But
Right.
when it's not reciprocated,
Mm-hmm.
that's a dictatorship.
Yes.
That is not a combination. That's not a uh, conjoined
There's not
relationship.
mutual respect there.
Correct.
And that we watched another video, and this woman was saying that, men who she called them top tier men. It's another one that he's in, but top tier men gently lead their woman. They don't lead with dictatorship, they lead with love. That's not leading with love at all. And he later on kind of, it almost seems like him and the other gentleman that was in the video try to like backtrack in a way, saying, well, we were just saying that it's not expected of the man to say that. It's not expected. And it's like,
Yeah,
no, go back to what you said because how you said it was not in any way like, you know, oh, well, it's just not expected of the man. And then it's
it may not be expected for either side, man or woman in the relationship, or
it's common
whatever your
courtesy.
relationship uh, roles are, the dominant versus the submissive. We have a very equal relationship. He said that women are not equal to men. I disagree because women are not equal to men as far as strength, as far as
Yeah,
other
there's
certain
certain.
parts, but where I am weak, you pick up, and where you are weak, I pick up. That's the whole,
Yeah, I mean that's a different men and the whole men and women
yeah,
not being equal thing. That's a different, conversation. We're talking about like when you're talking about your relationship and what's equal in your relationship, think dynamics are different.
correct.
But there was the next part, the one of the girls said, "Oh, well, that's so sneaky. Like that sounds sneaky." And he's like, "Well, it sounds sneaky because you're putting your past traumas and insecurities on me." And then she agrees with him, and I just was mind blown because it reminded me so much of a narcissistic person who just tries to justify their behavior and use things to manipulate the situation. And he's just using that, oh, women have past traumas and insecurities, and most of them are that way. And that's what, like, no, because how you made it sound it sounded very sneaky. You didn't present it in a way that I don't know how you would have presented it in any way to make it sound acceptable.
It's a common decency between two people that are in a relationship, especially with me and you. I can't speak for any other people's relationships, but
Mhm.
there are some women that are going to like that. They're going to like their man to be dominant and very commanding because some women are submissive. So they may
Right.
like that. His significant other or his, I think he called it his I think they call it significant other. Anyway, um, his woman w is clearly a submissive, and some women like that. Some women don't need to be equal.
Well,
Some women don't like that.
I don't think that as a dominant submissive thing because I think there are women who like dominant in the sense of you take control, you take the lead,
Right.
you know, I think that's a little different than just domineering and demeaning.
Yes. Yeah.
If you walk out of the house and you're like, "Hey babe, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna head out for a minute." And I'm like, "Okay," I'm probably going to be like, "Oh, well, where are you going?"
Right.
Not to be
Not in my business, but
to be like, well, "What are you doing? Where are you at? Who you going?" But just you're
yeah.
leaving the house. I'm like, "Oh, okay, where are you going?" And nine times out of ten, it's probably because I'm like, "Well, can I come too?
Yeah.
I want to go."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we share location, and we have shared. That was one of the next things that we started talking about, but we share location with each other, and we have done that. I mean, since we started dating. It was
We were
pretty shortly after we started
it was
dating.
within the first 6 months, I think.
Oh, less than that for
You think
sure.
so?
Yes, and you shared your location with me and just did it indefinitely. I think I was going to meet you one day and you're like, here, I'll share my location. And then you just never took it off. And then
Yeah.
after, I don't know, it was like a month, I was like, okay, I'll share my location with you. And I had never done that. I had never been in a relationship where you shared location. My last relationship, though, we didn't have the same like he had
iPhone and
he
Android.
had an
Yeah.
Android, I had an iPhone, but I still think even if we did, that would never have been something he would have agreed to. And I know a lot of men and women who think that sharing location is an invasion of privacy. And I just don't agree with that. And I don't see how you can make a valid argument for that because that's where I think privacy and secrecy, you're getting them confused. Because what about sharing the location is an invasion of your privacy? What are you doing that you can't share your location because you feel it's invading your privacy? Like, do you even know what that means?
Clearly not. That Cooley guy clearly has a very self-absorbed type of, you know, narcissistic.
Oh yeah, I am
He
your
comes
leader.
he comes
I am your
across,
leader.
yeah,
Like,
I don't know what that means. Like, yes, as a
I'm
man,
sorry.
we are supposed to lead
Hmm.
in the relationship, but that's not every relationship. There are beta males that don't lead in their relationship. There's
Correct.
so as an alpha male, that is our role is to
Hmm.
lead,
And that is what you are.
gene, gently lead by love and through taking the lead on certain things. But there's also parts and points where you take the lead and I kind of follow. But I would say 90% of the time I take the lead because that's our dynamic and our
Hmm.
relationship. And it's not because I have to be in control. And it felt like this guy was more of a
Yes.
control freak than anything to me. That's what I like. I had a real hard time getting through the 15 minutes. One, because they were yelling and screaming at each other, and that doesn't work on a podcast. But also, the way that the dynamic between all of the women, it seemed like women versus men in that on that podcast, and it came very convoluted when they were talking,
Hmm.
but he really wanted to dominate that conversation.
Yes.
And you can't have a quality conversation when you are the only one that is allowed to talk and allowed to express your opinion.
Well, and he was very like, he's like, I am the leader. I am this. Your man is the law. I am the law.
So what does
You're
that do?
basically just enticing like I don't know a lot of women who would hear that and in that tone of voice and that frame and not even if they maybe agreed deep down, not still get a little frustrated and flustered and upset because of how he's talking, how he's saying it.
Yeah.
You, yeah, you're like a dictator. What are you, Fidel Castro?
Well,
Like,
you had the first part of that word, right? That's
well, and I don't even
certainly.
know if that reference was Fidel Castro a dictator. I
I,
don't know.
yeah, Fidel Castro was a
But
dictator in Cuba, but yes, it just seemed very uh domineering and
controlling
controlling.
and
And that works for some people in
it made me hot,
relationships, but
not in a good way.
it certainly struck my nerve a little bit too, because again, I don't need to be in control of every certain move that you have. And we talked about this right after we watched it, is I don't have authority over you. If you wanted to leave and you're like, "Hey, I'm taking off. I'm going to the bar and I'm going to go get shit hammered tonight." I I could recommend, "Hey, I don't think that's a great idea.
I
Like,
don't want you to do that.
I
I
don't
don't
want you to
like
do
that.
that." But what can I really do about it? You're a grown woman.
Right, but
You can do what you want. If I say no, what can I do after saying no?
well,
Take your keys and
there could be consequences
there
though.
could. Yeah.
Like if
But you're a woman, you're a grown woman.
Mhm.
You are,
I'm not
fixing.
going to be grounded when I come home.
Yeah.
I mean there would definitely be consequences because we are not going to If you're in a committed relationship, you have mutual trust and respect for each other. If your significant other says, listen, I really don't want you to do that. I'm not comfortable with that, blah, 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 and you go do it anyway, that's a whole different, I mean,
Yes.
that's a whole different conversation. But just being like, I'm not even, I'm sorry, why are you asking me what I'm doing? Why are you asking me? It's none of your business. I'm going out, I'm doing
Yeah.
my own thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
Right.
Like,
You know what it brought me back to? The movie Overboard. Did you see that movie, Overboard? Oh my God. You
okay.
didn't?
Listen, you should know when you ask me 9 times out of 10, have you seen this movie? I'm
Okay.
like, no.
All right. So he kind of
I was a sheltered child.
he did this. He said the same thing to Goldie Hawn, and uh Kurt Russell went out, and he said, "Hey, I'm going out." She said, "Where are you going?" He said, "Out." And she was like,
I'm sorry, that would just
"Yeah,
never,
I'm going out." And it
never
just
fly.
it brought me back to that movie. But if I was to say that to you, I'm going out, I would expect a follow-up question. I would expect you to be like, "Okay, cool. Where are you going? What are you doing? Like, who you going with?" And it's not because you want to be in my business or control. It's just letting me know, or letting you know kind of where I'm
Mhm.
going, what I'm doing as a courtesy.
I think it's common courtesy and mutual
100%.
respect in a relationship. It's open communication. He is taking it as, well, I'm your protector and I'm your leader and I'm the law, and you
Mhm.
don't question those things.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sorry. No, no. Like, I
Right.
don't want to get political, but you sound very much like a political dictator, and
Yeah.
like what our government tries to basically tell us to do is just shut up and take it and listen and
Right.
do what we say, but don't do what we do.
And that
I,
was where his parent child
oh yeah, that
uh
was weird.
yeah,
I'm sorry,
where
that
he
was a
was
bad
comparing,
analogy.
it was to me, because again, I don't have authority over you. We are in a relationship together. It's not a me versus you, it's an us together. And when
Hmm.
he started comparing, when your kids go out, do they have to tell you? Yes. But when I go out, do I have to tell my child? No. But that's not the dynamic in a relationship.
No,
It's not parent child. That's not even I think one girl was saying that's not even apples to apples, and
it's
it's
not.
not because
That's manipulation to try to
yes.
justify your explanation. And what he was doing is trying to exploit the intelligence, basically, and the insecurities of these women that were on this panel to manipulate them to try to get them to see it from his point of view, which, like that one girl said, that's not even apples to apples. And she was absolutely correct. It's not. A parent
It's not.
relationship is not the same as a romantic, sexual relationship with your partner. I
Yeah.
don't know who would even agree that those are the same. No, that's apples and oranges. Parent and child is totally different. And he was trying to use that as a way to manipulate the situation in his favor to get those women to agree with what he said.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think if you are not a strong-minded and maybe don't, you're kind of in that in-between phase where you're like, well, I mean, that kind of made sense, or I could kind of see his point of view, he's just manipulating the situation. That's all he was doing to try to justify and make you or make them agree with what he was saying. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Your relationship with your significant other is romantic and sexual.
Are you looking for a brand that supports mental health? Find the Good Brand. With Find the Good Brand, they give back 10% of their profits to Mental Health America, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting mental health and well being right here in the United States. When you go to findthegoodbrand.com, use code TouchMyHealth and you'll get 10% off your next order. With him, it seemed like that spouse or that significant other, I think he called it his woman or whatever, when that comparison was being made, he was trying to justify his words, and it just did not sit well with anybody. It didn't sit well with me, and that's why I said it kind of made it really hard to get through that podcast or that 15-minute clip. But
Yeah.
we wanted to get the full context of that clip because
Mhm.
we didn't want to come on here and just start talking out of our ass and take something out of context. We
Right.
wanted to get the full backstory and make sure that we were reacting accordingly.
And that's only to that segment of that podcast from the clip that I saw.
Mhm.
There are some other clips, obviously, that have come up with him in it now since, you put that in it's going to be in my algorithm now. So I've seen some other ones, and there has been other reacts saying like he does say some good things, I guess, in other episodes of podcasts. So maybe he has, some good points or,
Yeah, and it's not,
intelligent things to say about other topics or whatnot. But that one, I was like, I'm sorry,
yeah,
dude, you lost
we
me.
certainly
You
don't
lost me.
agree. And put it in the comments if you like what he was saying or
Or
if
if
you
you
have
agree.
if you agree or disagree, let us
Mhm.
know because we're certainly open to, like I said in the beginning, is I can see it from a male perspective, where you are the protector. You are like I protect us, all of our girls. That is my
Mhm.
job as the man, is to protect and to lead. And I can see that side of it, but
Right.
it was certainly the way that it was delivered was piss poor.
Right. Well, and it was delivered piss poor, and how he followed up and his reasonings and
Yeah.
his logic
Yeah.
behind it is just, and I think for me, it like triggered me because I've been in relationships where it's do as I say, not as I do, where the other person can go and do whatever the hell they want. But if I was to do those exact same things, it's
You would be
it's not gonna,
chastised.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna go over well, and there's gonna be, arguments and fights or whatnot. And so I cannot get down with that kind of mentality. If it's, what do they say, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, or whatever the heck that saying is. If you are going to do something and it's not something that you would want me to do and you do it anyway, uh,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, and it's not to shit on this guy, but it's certainly to bring awareness to healthy relationships. And that's really what we're talking about and what we focus on is mental health.
and
Really
healthy, yeah.
that really creates a bad environment in a relationship and creates a weak mentality, and again uh, that dominating
Mindset.
mindset and mentality for me as a man. I want you to, yes, be submissive, but not to the point where you don't feel like you have any control over your own mind, over your own mental. And my job as a man also is to empower you as a woman. And like I said before,
Support.
is you pick up where I'm weak and I pick up where you are weak because that's what a healthy relationship in my opinion should be. And when I am the only one that is allowed to do whatever I want because I'm the law, that doesn't even equate. That
Yeah.
math don't math.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Math don't math, but it also going back to what we were talking about is, privacy versus secrecy. What is privacy? And these are things that should be talked about early on in a relationship, privacy. So if you go to your significant other and you're like, yes, let's share locations. And they're like, that's an invasion of my privacy. Well, what does privacy mean to you? What is your definition of that? How is that an invasion of your privacy? Because if you think that it's because I'm going to sit there and stalk your location, or you're going to be here and then I'm texting you going, well, why are you there, or what are you doing? There's another layer behind that. There's trust
Mhm.
issues already,
Right.
either with that person, with you, And it could be maybe whatever past trauma or insecurity, or it's that you have secrets and you're secretive and you're sneaky and you don't want the other person to know that. It,
Yeah.
I just cannot see how like sharing location or letting someone know where you're at or what you're doing is an invasion of your privacy.
It's not.
I can't get any explanation in my brain that would somebody put, if you, I mean, I'll read them or you can say it. I do have a good example of this that I
Okay.
think about. So privacy to me is I have a workbook that I am doing right now for self-compassion. And in there, I journal and I write. And I think that those are very private thoughts for me,
Hmm.
and not saying that you could never read those or whatnot. But if you were to go through that without my permission, I would feel that that's an invasion of my privacy because those are my personal thoughts. Those are my things that I'm working on within myself that I'm writing down that maybe I'm not ready to share yet. That
Hmm.
is privacy to me.
Yep.
You knowing where I am, who I'm with, what I'm doing is absolutely not an invasion of privacy. That is common courtesy, that is mutual
Yep.
respect, and that is the trust that we have with each other.
Yes, agreed. And part of that privacy versus secrecy, I feel like if I don't tell you where I'm going, if I don't tell you who I'm with, it is secretive. I'm being secretive. I'm trying to do something that maybe I don't want you to know about, and that's where that secrecy
Deception.
and that deception comes in. Um, I feel like the privacy, everybody needs their privacy, but when you are being sneaky about it and trying to, I don't know, hang out with a girl when I say that I'm going to hang out with my boys and actually I'm going on a date with a woman,
Yeah, that's
that that's what it came across to me
that's
in that.
distrust and
Yes, and
deception.
that's what it came across to me in that clip was,
Yeah.
okay, they maybe he's not a cheater, maybe he's not being deceptive, but
He's
it can
coming across that
certainly
way
come across
for
that way
sure.
because why can't the other person know where you're going?
Well, and that's when I think he started to backtrack later.
Hmm.
If you watch the full segment, and I don't remember the other person's name that was in the video with him, but basically saying, well, it's just not expected. Not that we walk out of the house and don't say that. If they kind of tried to backtrack.
Yeah.
Like it's just not expected. It's expected of the woman to announce it. It's not expected of the man to announce it. But if he
Hmm.
wants to, he can.
Yeah. And I think going further into it, privacy versus secrecy, we'll say like DMs, right? Um, we've had this conversation also is when you are having conversations with somebody in your DMs, we have two side businesses, and if I was to go through your phone, is that an invasion of privacy?
Um, no, but I think that you would say, "Hey, can I look through your phone?"
Yeah.
I think the invasion of privacy then comes when you do it like behind their back, and that's how
Yeah.
it can be construed, even though I don't, it's hard. It's hard to say that, but I do think it's an invasion of privacy. But at the same time, you should be able to ask and say, "Hey, can I go through your phone? Can I look
Yeah.
at this, look at that?" And the other person not give you any pushback. I don't see where there should be pushback. If you push back, I think it's because you probably are being secretive
That's
and have something to hide.
I'm glad you said that because that's where I was leading to it. That is where the privacy versus secrecy comes in, is if I have some type of secret, conversation and or I have what is the private browsing history and I'm looking at at
Oh,
things like
like the
the
incognito mode?
incognito mode,
Hmm.
and I'm watching porn, like we talked about the porn addiction behind
Hmm.
when you're in a relationship. That was one of our other podcast episodes. um when you are doing things behind the other person's back that you would not want them to know, that's being secretive. And if you were to ask me to go through my phone, that's not an invasion of privacy, I don't feel like. That's not anything that should be out of the norm. If you have a certain feeling about something, you came to me the other day and you're like, this person, whatever is on their
Yeah.
Instagram and whatever, it just was very very sexual, and Katie kind of felt a way about it. And I opened my phone and I was like, here, look at the conversation that we had. And there shouldn't be any, like you said, there shouldn't be any pushback if you're not doing anything. And you shouldn't be if you're in a committed relationship. You shouldn't be having those conversations that are that the other person is not allowed to read.
Right. If
Unless
you,
it becomes something where I'm trying to plan like a private party or a surprise
that's the
party or,
only, I
or
was going to
something.
get to that. Like, that's
Yeah.
the only caveat to that is if you are trying to plan a surprise for something. Like, yeah, well, we'll get to that later. But yes, I think if you're having private conversations in your phone and your partner says, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable about something," or "I have a weird feeling," or "You've been acting off lately," or this or that. Can I look through your phone? Can I do this, that? And
Mhm.
you're like, "No," that, or "Why?" Or well, what, and you start getting resistance. To me, I'm sorry, there's no other explanation. That's a red flag. That's it.
Yeah.
And if that was to happen to us and you were trying to plan a surprise, or I was trying to plan a surprise, I think I know what I would say is like, babe, sure, of course, you can go through my phone. However, I just want you to know that I, was trying to do something
So
as a surprise
don't
for
look at
you,
these messages.
or just if you come across it, you're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know that I would say don't read. I don't think I would ever say don't read so and so's messages or don't read this or don't read that. I would just say, listen, if you're feeling a type of way and you want to talk about it and go through my phone, that's fine. But I am in the process of trying to plan something. And if you come across that,
It could ruin the
then
surprise.
it's no longer going to be a surprise. But
Yeah.
I will always want you to feel comfortable. So if it ruins the surprise, it ruins the surprise, whatever. Like it's our trust in our relationship is more important than that. So, but I'll be like, hey, just so you know, if that's why you're concerned because of some weird things maybe that's coming up, like
Yeah.
this is why. I mean, when I planned your surprise birthday, your surprise 40th,
Uh-huh.
I had created with your mom and your sister a group me chat because I didn't want their names on to come up as text messages, even though you didn't, go through my phone or anything. But I just, for some reason, I really wanted to keep it a secret. Like I really
You
wanted you
did.
to be surprised. And so I had group me because my kids that's what we used for soccer. And so we created, and I knew they had it because you have a group me with your family.
Yeah.
So we created a little group me chat. And I did honestly kind of feel bad because it did make me feel like I was being a little sneaky because I was trying to purposefully make sure that,
Yeah, but that's with my mom and my sister and
yeah.
family members.
But
It's
if
not with
if you had
random
been like,
random dudes on the
yeah.
Facebook DMs and Instagram DMs or whatever.
Yeah, but if you would have been like, listen, you're acting weird with your phone, you're always putting it face down or putting it in your pocket or what are the other, signs that they say when people are doing something secretive with their phone. And I gave it to you, I would have said that exact same thing
Yeah.
though, like, hey,
Yeah.
um,
So that's a good point too, is that actually makes me feel a certain type of way when your phone is not visible or you always have it face down, it certainly feels like you're being secretive. And it I don't
Yeah.
know, just to me it's not an invasion of privacy, but why can you not have your phone face up? What are you afraid of coming on your phone
Hmm.
if it was face up and you get a notification from whoever? If it's not visible and your phone is out and it's face down, I feel like it kind of is sneaky. What do you think?
Well, I think it can be, but there's, I just want to say this because I don't want to lose it. So
Okay.
make me come back to it, but also not giving your passcode
Oh,
to.
yeah.
But anyways, so back in the day when I was not a great person and I did just being honest, sneaky things long time ago. Some of the things that I heard about later that people do with their phones who are more than likely being dishonest and not faithful and things like that. I remember being like, oh my God, it's true because I used to do those things. I would keep my phone face down.
Hmm.
I would have my phone on silent all the time. I would either have, names in my phone that were not the right names, or I would you know, have notifications turned off, which two of those things I know both of us do now. Like we both always have our phone on silent, ringers never on. I kind of feel
Yeah.
like that's
My,
that's more common now just in
I
general.
don't want that thing making noise, period.
Yeah, well, you hate unnecessary noise. Noise is very like
Yeah.
you're very particular about it. So it makes sense. And for me, my phone goes off so much that yeah, it I don't know. And because I know noise irritates you, I've just always had my ringer off. But notifications, like I have so many notifications. So when I open my phone, it's just notification after notification. You have a lot of your notifications turned
I
off,
do.
but I don't feel that
It's not to be sneaky and
yeah, you just hate having all the stuff
it's
on the phone.
it's because it's annoying to me.
Yeah.
I have notifications for all of our cameras. I have notifications for
Life
Life
360.
360, but my DMs and all of the messages, like I have text messages turned on, but all of my DMs I
Like
shut off.
socials.
Yeah, socials I shut off because sometimes people send messages at ridiculous hours of the night and while we're sleeping, and the last thing I want to do is be woke up to
Yeah.
somebody that is awake at 1 o'clock in the morning and we're not on
Well,
our.
that's why I have a sleep focus on my
Yeah.
phone and all my, I only have very few notifications that are allowed
Yeah.
to go through. But yeah, I don't, and for me, I don't have my socials turned off because I run, my other business is mainly through my Facebook. And so I want to be able to respond fast. And so I want to see those. But yeah, I mean, things like that, though, when I had read about them later on, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, you know, those are telltale signs
Yeah.
when you have or that someone's doing something probably maybe not
Yeah.
the best or whatever. And
And
I had to when I was planning your surprise party, I had to make sure that I didn't like be weird around my phone because I wanted to surprise you so bad and I was even though I know I'm like there's you would I just can't see you picking up my phone and being like, "What are you doing?" Like
yeah.
that's just not our
No,
relationship
if
as
I
I
wanted to
do.
go through your phone, I would certainly give you the courtesy of asking. I've never been one to just go through your phone while you're sleeping or hell, anybody's phone that I've been in a relationship. That's just not my style. I don't have that much uh, jealousy. I'm not a jealous person, but um,
I am.
you are.
I
But
am.
but I just have always been the type of person that I'm going to ask, hey, I feel this way. Can
Hmm.
I see your phone? I did that in my marriage when uh I was paying the bill and I saw, you know, text messages for, I don't
You
know.
already had a feeling,
I
though.
did have a feeling, but it was like a week of text messages and it was paying my bill online, so it showed me how many text messages uh this line had,
Was this
and
before unlimited?
no.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's always been unlimited with T-Mobile that I've had, but the text messages went from like 200 to 800. And I was like, "Whoa, that's a that's a big difference." So I went on our phone bill online and saw that it was one number constantly. And that was the inflation. So when I got home from work, I asked my wife at the time, I said, "Hey, let me see your phone." And she was like, okay, why?" I said, "Let me see your phone." And I opened her phone to find out what that number was. And all of those messages were
That
deleted.
number wasn't in there?
No,
Yeah.
the number wasn't in there. And so I dialed the number and it came up with a person's name and it was the name I thought it would be. And I was like,
Oh, so
where?
she actually had it saved as that
Yeah.
person's name?
And I said, okay, where are these messages? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so
Gaslight.
yeah, yeah,
Pour
gas.
gas on that gaslight.
So when I pulled the bill up on the phone, I showed her and I said, all of this, like, where are these messages? And I mean, she just went ghost white. And I was like, okay, that's enough. That's enough to prove my intuition and my suspicion. And that's where, like I said, I feel like that's not an invasion of privacy. I'm asking you to show me what you are doing. Secrecy and secretive is the reverse of that, where I would just go through your phone without you knowing. And you being secretive and you being secret,
You're
having
being secretive
yeah,
about their
having secret
secretive activities.
yeah, having secret conversations that you don't want me to know about.
Yeah.
And there's that difference. And it's not a very fine line. I feel like it's very black and white when it comes to privacy versus secrecy. And going back to it, sharing location is not an invasion of privacy. It's letting you know where I'm
I
at
don't
because
think so
what
either.
happens if something, goes wrong? What happens if, and we share our location with our children too
Hmm.
for the same reason. We want to know where our children are at, but then it's okay for them to know where we're at.
Shoot, that our kids, my oldest, she stalks my location. She'll be like, "Mom, I see you're at
The
you
store,
guys are
yeah.
at the store. You're at this restaurant. Can you bring me home
Yeah.
some food?" I'm like, "Girl,
Which is fine. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it definitely is the openness. And I feel like that's what you have to have in a healthy relationship. And when you are parent-child comparing to your intimate relationship, that's not that's not equal.
it's
And
not apples to apples, buddy. Not
no,
even close. It's a
no,
totally different dynamic and type of relationship."
right.
All right, that concludes the end of our conversation regarding that. I feel like we've beat that
We beat that
we
horse
beat that horse. But
to a pulp.
I would love to know, we would love to know, do you agree with this gentleman? Do, do you think he has a point or valid points? If you go back and watch, and we'll try to put the actual podcast in the
We'll link it.
description.
Yeah, I'll link
So
it.
if people want to go back and watch that segment of it, we only watched the segment. The podcast itself was a lot longer. But do you agree with him? Do you not agree with him? Put in
Yeah,
the comments, do you agree with what we were talking about with privacy versus secrecy? Just let us know your thoughts. We would be very interested to hear other people's opinions and
yeah.
kind of your viewpoints on it.
Yeah, let us know what you think, and tell me what a invasion of privacy versus secrecy is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments on YouTube. And
next week
we're going to do
attachment styles.
Yeah, so look forward to next week's episode. We release every Monday. This will be released on Monday. Next week will be attachment styles. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll see you next time on the Touch My Health podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. If you learned something and our stories resonate with you, subscribe to our podcast. That's a zero-cost way to support our channel. You can also follow us on Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. They're linked in the description of the episode. We'd love for you to put any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes in the comment section on YouTube. We'll read them all. Again, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your interest. And as always, we remind you to be the best version of yourself. See you next time on the Touch My Health podcast.